Toy Story should be made into a live-action movie.
Why?
Absolutely not.
I disagree
Absolutely
completely.
not. We come to this place for magic, to laugh,
To cry.
To care.
but most importantly, it's to argue about movies. My name's Tony Squares. As always, I'm joined by Kellerman and Cheese, and we are
The Box Office Buds.
And on today's show, we're talking about a wonderful Disney live-action feature called Snow White. They first made this movie in 1937, and they're doing it again in 2025. We got a lot to talk about. Lilo and Stitch, live action. Speaking of, that trailer came out. We also have some conversations to have about Black Bag. But first, before we get there, Alex Alche, I have some bad news.
Oh, yeah?
Your film, Mickey 17, your first film in the Fantasy Box Office Movie League, which again, if this is your first time watching, welcome. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, help this channel grow. We do truly appreciate it. If you join the Substack, Kellerman will write plenty of jokes about the movies we're watching for you directly to your email. The reason we're doing this show is because each of us have drafted 5 movies, and whoever makes the most money in the box office worldwide before the end of the calendar year wins said league. I won last year, and I won't stop talking about it.
Oh my God.
Alche's first movie came out, Mickey 17, and it's up to 90 million. 90 million worldwide, except for the fact, Alche.
Yeah.
It's going to be streaming by the time this podcast reaches your YouTube.
Big
Yeah.
oof.
That's
Yeah.
not true. It's going to be a couple of days, but still, 18 days after said release, they're taking Mickey 17 directly to VOD streamers.
They are. It is a very, very disturbing, very, very sad day.
Yeah.
For us all, really. For film in general.
Yeah, real short-lived theater time.
Real short runway. And so we thought for the first time ever on this show, since it'll be the first movie out of any of our Movie League movies to no longer be in theaters when it comes to streaming, we thought it was time to put Mickey 17 to rest with a little debut of some movie gravestones. Mickey 17 lasted 7 days too long. It was a movie that nobody liked, nobody saw, and nobody cared to talk about. And it turned Bong Joon-ho into Bong Joon-no.
Oy.
Mickey, we hardly knew ye. You were here for such a short, confusing time, and you've gone probably just as quickly as you probably should have. Respectfully.
No. Why did I draft you, Mickey 17? Why? Because Robert Pattinson is Robert Pattinson. Bong Joon-ho is Bong Joon-ho. Did we know it was going to be this weird? This weird. You think Bong Joon-ho, it's going to be a little bit offbeat, but it was easily the weirdest movie in the last decade. And we say goodbye because no one is seeing you. I should have drafted Novocaine. Goodbye, Mickey 17. Goodbye.
And with that, it's time to start the show. Well, boys, I have great news. Time to chipper up the show because every single one sitting in a chair right now is a winner. We all got the under last week correct for the Steven Soderbergh Black Bag. We all said it would be under 13 million. It was almost under half of that. 7.5 million
Not good.
domestically. Alche, you and I are 4-1 on our over-unders. We're going to do another one later on in this show with Snow White. You're up to 3-2. We're all winners on this show. A show that likes to talk about box office. We claim to be experts because we run a little silly, fun league. We're winning.
Anyone can be experts these days, and we are.
I don't
Very
feel
happy.
great about my ratio.
Now, I have to say about Black Bag, I did not see it again. I don't think it was marketed very well. Alche, you saw it. You loved it.
Loved it.
Loved it.
It's excellent.
And still, how many people were in your theater when you saw it?
6.
6 people in the theater. I think the problem was, Kellerman, this thing wasn't marketed well. We saw Novocaine everywhere. Novocaine hit the grounds running when it came to getting people into the theaters. Not many people saw that, but it did beat Black Bag when it came to opening weekend. Black Bag is probably a better movie than Novocaine when it comes to like ratings and Rotten Tomatoes. So why didn't it work? Why wasn't it marketed well?
Well, for me, I think color has a lot to do with it. Black Bag had very drab, almost black and white, monotone, dark, shadowy,
Stylized,
very stylized, very cool. But on a billboard, compared to the bright yellow splashed with blood of Novocaine and fists of weapons and stuff like that, there's nothing exciting about the marketing.
Do you think marketing had something to do with it?
I think marketing had something to do with it. I think the fact that they're all British, it's very highbrow British humor and British spy thriller stuff.
I got that.
That may not get butts in seats.
Yeah. Give us a 1 minute how they could have done the marketing better.
It's Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf meets James Bond. It's very cool.
Wow. Now, see, there's an elevator pitch.
It is the sexiest spy thriller without sex. Fassbender's
Wait. It looks sexy. There's no sex?
There's no sex. Kate Blanchett takes her shirt off. They roll around a little bit. Spoiler free, though. They roll around a little bit, but no nakedness, no sex. But it is sexy. It is hot. It is what really happened. What you think could really happen to real spies behind the scenes. They're all getting together at dinners. They're all getting together in very normal circumstances, but the heightened tension, the British tension, is so palpable from the moment it's on screen. You know what it really needed to be marketed as? 94 minutes. 94 minutes. Go in there. Have a drink. By the time it's done, the movie's over, and you've been like, wow, that was an enjoyable experience.
Wow.
And you can go get another drink by 9 p.m. It's a stellar movie. Everyone in it is excellent. There are rising stars of this. Marissa Abella from Industry steals the movie. Kate Blanchett, phenomenal, status-driven, incredible. Every acting piece. And Soderbergh is throwing 1,000 miles an hour.
If I had a cello, I'd start playing it right now.
So economical, so excellently
Perhaps
shot.
too economical.
Perhaps too long of a minute-long elevator pitch.
Fantastic. See this movie. It's better than everything that's out right now. See it.
I feel like a short running time shouldn't be a selling point,
No.
but in today's world,
Come on to the movies. You won't be here long.
Yeah, but there's so many 3-hour movies these days. I feel like it actually is a selling point.
I'm
my
happy
opinion.
it's good. We talked about Soderbergh last week. I did not like Logan Lucky as much as the next guy. I'm happy that Soderbergh came back with a home run here. I can't wait to see it. Still don't know if that elevator pitch sold me to see it in theaters. With all that tension, I think they would be able to ease that tension if they just banged on the side, right?
Yeah, I feel like it looked like a really sexy thriller. The fact that there's no sex in it is a huge detractor, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We're really a high-class podcast, folks. Before we move on to our main reason we're talking about this show here, Snow White is coming out. Don't know how long that runtime is, but it is the 4th movie in our movie league to come out and debut here. We still have 3 movies running. Alche, again, Mickey 17 went up to 90 million. He's still in 3rd place.
Wait, they're still running? Is Dogman still in theaters?
Dogman is still in theaters. It's raking in.
It doesn't quit.
It's raking in 2-3
believe
million a
it's
weekend.
still in theaters.
2-3 million a weekend.
It came out in January.
They keep on filling that Fido bowl, and Dogman keeps eating. And Dogman still has TJ in 2nd place.
Shocked.
I don't really understand why they wouldn't just keep Mickey 17 in theaters also. Just keep it in theaters for another 2 weeks.
Because
Get
Dogman's booting it out. Dogman's get off my
making
block.
more money still.
Dogman owns the corner.
It's
And then, of
unbelievable.
course, Captain America is still number 1 for Dangles, almost at 400 million. Going to be way lower than what we expected.
It still
hasn't hit 400 worldwide.
Yeah.
But again, Dangles is leading.
Oh, that's not good.
Before we go into Snow White, I wanted to bring that up. I wanted to update the leaderboard because Benjamin Harris Rosen is entering the fray. The Portland man himself. This is his first movie of the year. It is a big entrance. Can he catch? Can he get a podium at the end of this weekend? That's what we're going to be talking about. It's time to talk about Disney.
Just whistle while you work.
So as I said in the intro, Snow White came out in 1937. Almost 90 years later, we are getting a live-action remake of an absolute classic film. And ever since this was announced, there has been controversy surrounding said movie, from the casting of people, from not having humans in certain roles, from everything else going on in our wonderful political climate is centering around this movie and what the actors and actresses have said about those things in this movie. Disney has pulled back from their PR stunt when they have these movies come out. They like to have all these actors and actresses out there talking about the movie. They've really pulled all of that back. You're still going to see all the trailers, but those live action, those Jimmy Fallon appearances are no longer there because of all the controversy surrounding this movie. There's a lot to dive into. We don't even know if the movie's going to be good, or we agree with remaking all of the classic animated films. There's a lot to gnaw on. But I wanted to start off with the controversy, because we're not going to give our opinion on all these different controversies, but I want to say we hear a lot of that in LA because we are part of the coastal elites, and I'm sure New York talks about it as well. We are film cities. But does Betty Lou Who in the middle of Nebraska care about what's going on with these actors saying certain things and taking political stands? Do they care, or do they just want to escape for 2 hours and take their kids to go see the new Disney Snow White? Do you think all this stuff surrounding it really affects its overall box office?
I do wonder if the live-action Disney movie of it just is a shoe-in to make a bunch of money, or if those movies are helped. I don't know. Have we even had a Disney movie that didn't have a bunch of live appearances and red carpet premieres and things pushing it? I don't think we have.
I don't know. Alche, what say you? Do you think all this stuff surrounding it affects the box office negatively in any way?
No. I don't think this has anything to do with box office numbers. I think
people are going to go see it because it's
Snow
White.
I'm not 100% sure that people are going to go. Like, I don't think it's going to be The Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast. These, like,
all of them went well over $1 billion worldwide.
Yes, all well over $1 billion. But those are 90s classics turned into remakes. Like,
this is the original.
Yeah, but this is like the number
And
one.
for
Like
that-
Disney
and
heads are
for-
gonna go crazy for
right.
this.
And parents don't care about Snow White. Kids don't care about Snow White. Snow White,
What do you mean?
because our generation, what's your favorite Disney movie?
Yeah, Little Mermaid.
Well,
but
sure.
Yeah.
Aladdin.
There you go.
Yeah.
A 90s
They what came out with us.
Disney
I get
movie.
that.
Fine.
I get that. But I still, when I was a kid, saw Snow White
Yeah,
and had
Snow White
reference
is still a
for it.
foundational Disney film.
But I understand what he's saying.
That
and the
is
fact
one
that
piece of it. That's one piece of the puzzle. The second piece of the puzzle for me is that Snow White is a lot darker and a lot slower than The Lion King,
Sure.
Aladdin.
Well,
et
this
cetera.
is supposedly a completely new version of Snow White, as some of the actors have said. Like, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they've talked about how the old Snow White was not necessarily made for this time, so they've changed things around a little bit. And I would assume that means they've added a couple of, maybe some things to move the plot along and make everything a little bit more
You'd
entertaining.
think that, but I have an inside source. They will go anonymous.
Inside source!
In a text exchange, I was told that it is a little scary, a little slow, but the dwarves are fun. So
See, that's the biggest question mark I have.
When
about the
I was a
movie.
kid, Snow White was re-released in theaters.
Yep.
I remember they did a whole McDonald's had the toys of the dwarves and all that stuff. It was like a big deal. I loved it.
Yeah.
Sure.
People had the plush.
But am I going to take my 3.5-year-old to Snow White? Was my question in having this conversation.
Which is the market. Like, that's
Sure.
like,
Yeah,
it's
you
not,
want
it's
the
not made
kids.
for me and you.
Of
Like, it's
course
made
not.
for the kids. You know
I
what I mean?
think it's made for the 7-year-olds. So I think you're losing the youngest market you could have of the Lion Kings, of the Aladdins, of
Well, but it's still going to be a family film that people take their whole family to go
ultimately.
to.
But I think you're losing the true youth. You're hitting like 7, 8, 9, 10 and up.
Speaking of the youths, we all saw those movies like Aladdin, Little Mermaid. We brought them up already. We fell in love with those when we were children. And Disney has gone through almost every single one now and remade it for the new generation with that live action, half animated, half fake, half real people. And I was dead set against it when I heard about it because I wanted to hold true to what I had. I wanted them to make new stories, tell new tales, have new princesses, and some of them they have. Frozen is remarkable how big that thing has gotten.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot of these have been remade and will continue to be remade, and they'll remake them again 20 years, 30 years from now. And the thing that's kind of convinced me that this was, I wasn't okay with it, but I was like, okay, it's going to happen, is that the CEO came out and said, the CEO of Disney came out once and said, they're remaking these so that the new generation can have their version of this great story. And I understood that, because if I was a kid now and I saw Snow White looking as old as it did, I'd probably be bored about 20 minutes in. So I get them trying to remake it for newer, fresher eyes that take a different form of media in. However, You're the one that has the kid. You've seen probably most of these live action films. Have any of them stuck out to you the way the fully original animated versions have?
Of course not, but it's not my first rodeo with those films, with those properties, with those things. If a kid is coming to The Lion King first with the live action, they might have a totally different opinion. If a child is coming to Snow White like this, I think that is the point of something like this, to bring back a property from way in the past to now, is essentially you're making money both ways, because they're going to have their first experience with Snow White the live action. Yeah. And then they're going to go back and watch the animated version.
As a big kid myself, I will say, and this may be an unpopular opinion.
Great.
But for me, the live action remake was really like seeing the movie for the first time again, and it gave me a sense of wonder that I really hadn't felt since seeing one of those cartoons when I was a kid. I was so familiar. I'm so familiar with that story. Seeing it in that way, even though, is it live action really? They're still kind of animated.
Lion King's a little bit different. Yeah,
right. But it really just, I wasn't expecting it to be such a unfamiliar experience. It made that one really special for me, unlike Little Mermaid and Aladdin.
Sure.
So with this live action film, I do believe it does lend itself. The story does lend itself for the live action portion of it. Sure. You have the real human as Snow White. You have the real human as the evil stepmother. I'm interested to see how it all works out, how it works out as a movie. I've heard great things about it. I've read reviews, especially with the lead actress, Rachel Ziegler. I've heard great things about her. I think she's phenomenal to start, but she's supposed to be really good in this. I have not heard great things about the dwarves in the animation. We don't know if it's going to be any good, but our prediction, our show is all about the box office. How much money will it make? Again, this is Ben Rosen's first movie. He almost had to sell his bicycle because he lost last year. He needs to win this year. He needs to upgrade that thing, get a little 10-speed on that. I'm excited to see what happens here. We're going to make two predictions. The domestic over-under during the first weekend, and then, of course, the full length of said movie. How much money does it make in totality?
Oh boy.
We drafted our movies based on auction, and Ben stole this movie. Okay? Captain America, for instance, already came out, not at $400 yet. Dangle spent $21 of a $100 budget on just Captain America alone. You and your crappy Mickey 17 spent $7 on Mickey 17. Benjamin Harris Rosen paid $12 of his $100 budget, barely 10% of his budget, for Snow White. How much money does it make? Let's start with opening weekend. It's all over the place, from $48 million to $58 million domestically. What do you think it makes? I'm going to put the line at $52 million. Over or under $52 million domestically for Snow White in week one. Again, Alcha, you're 4-1 at this.
Even though I'm probably not taking my son to see this, I am going to go over by like a fair amount. I think this is going to hit 62.
Ooh, that's a big number.
It's the only new kid movie in town.
Very much so. People are begging for a new movie. The box office, we'll go over it next week. The box office has not been good in all of the movies. So over 52, you're saying around 62. Can't wait to see what you have for the totality
it's not going to hit the 97 of some of these heavy hitter live action ones, but 62 is a nice portion.
Kellerman, 52 over or under opening weekend domestically.
That's tough. There's going to be people basically boycotting this movie.
Do you think so?
Yes.
Yes,
this movie exemplifies the wokeification of Disney. It is all the things that people don't want, that certain people, I should say, don't want. I'm not saying that I'm going to boycott. I'm just saying people will be boycotting this movie.
So with the wokeification of Disney, how many of that group of people were going to see this anyway?
I don't know.
I don't think any of them. I think they're
I would say Disney used to appeal to absolutely everybody, no longer does.
But that Venn diagram of people who think this Snow White is too woke versus people who are going to see a Snow White live action no matter what, I don't think that much connects. So I'm right there with you that people are against it. They are actually angry at this movie. They want to keep it true to the movie that came out again almost 90 years ago, folks. So if you're holding on to something that came out 90 years ago, that's a you problem. Right. But I don't think that Venn diagram dissects too much. I don't think it has too much to affect the bottom line here.
Perhaps. It is still the new live action
Yeah.
Disney movie. Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna make money, right? So we're talking domestic, though, right? Not worldwide.
Domestic, yeah.
52.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say over also.
Ha
I wanted to be different. For the third straight time.
Are we
no,
all
for the third time on this show, in the history of this show, all three of us agree. I think this movie goes well over the 52 million domestically. I do believe there'll be boycotts. I do believe there's a group of people that don't want to see this based on whatever political side they're on for various reasons. However, when it comes down to it, there is no competition for this. They are dying to see a kids movie that's not a dog's head on a human body. This movie is going to make money. I am hitting the over 52 million as well. And I'm happy you said 62. Because I'm right there with you. I look at this
60
movie
sounds right.
and it reminds me of Cinderella live action. That made over 62 million worldwide opening weekend. Went on to make over 550 million worldwide. So let's now transition to the overall cume of this movie. I'm going to you. You're the one that says there'll be boycotts. People won't see it. How much money does this make in totality? Again, Captain America hasn't hit 400 yet.
Captain America hasn't hit 400 yet.
Yeah.
And that is why I say this movie makes 350 million.
350 total. I mean, again, if you're only spending $12 in our auction draft for 350
Wow.
million, that's a good price.
Sure.
I'm going to go a little bit higher. I like the 550 of Cinderella. I'm going to take it a little bit less. I'm going to go 475. I think this almost hits 500 million, especially worldwide. I think it'll do better overseas than it does in America.
You know, I've been really thinking about like why people aren't going to movies a lot this year. Why Captain America isn't beyond just blatant racism. Why Captain America isn't doing well. Look at him. I mean, people are broke. Yo,
True.
People are broke.
Things are not
worldwide.
good economically.
And maybe the people who would go see a movie once a month are going once every 2 months, and that trickle-down effect is real.
It's fair.
However, you gotta give the kids something. I think this is more in line with like Maleficent numbers. Maleficent 1 made like 785. I don't think it's quite that high. I think it's probably gonna
No
I think we're
way.
going around 650. I do. I think 650.
Wow.
I think worldwide this is going to do quite well.
We varied a lot with our Captain America prediction. I think the highest was 850 and the lowest was in the 700s. We're much different now. You said 350,
I'm
right?
screwed. There's no way.
You
Yeah,
said
can I change my
350.
answer?
No, you
It's
might
not-
be right.
it's not crazy.
We were almost double wrong on Captain America. We haven't even hit
It's true.
50% of our predictions on
I
that.
can't believe Captain America.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. We're in a brave new world.
Okay, all
There is like Disney movies are not a sure thing anymore.
Yeah,
Marvel
you're right.
movies not a sure thing anymore.
You're right.
People are really being selective with where they spend their money, and I just happen to think worldwide this will do well.
And I agree with what you said earlier about it kind of being a kids movie that's almost not good for kids of all ages.
Yeah.
So.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's gonna hurt.
and if parents out there are watching and they still haven't decided to see Snow White and they want to save their money for a little bit longer, just wait until Easter when King of Kings comes out.
Jesus.
But speaking of Disney movies aren't doing what they once were, we need to talk about another Disney movie. The new trailer for Lilo and Stitch
Oh
came
man,
out.
it looks so good.
Another live-action animated movie from the past, not so long ago, not
No,
1937.
much more recent.
Much more recent. People who are definitely young adults right now grew up on Lilo and Stitch, and now we're seeing a live-action version of it. We got a little bit of taste during the Super Bowl. There was a special Super Bowl ad that came out, a little teaser. We saw Stitch for the first time. Now we saw what the movie's going to look like, what the movie's going to be, the heart surrounding it. And as the man who owns this movie, as the tent pole, well, Michael was the tent pole. I don't know if Michael's coming out anymore, but as the tent pole of my team, Lilo and Stitch, I am so elated at how good that trailer was.
Not only how good the trailer was, it's the second most watched Disney trailer of all
I
time.
believe it. Lilo and Stitch, first of all, an extremely popular
Yeah,
franchise.
yes.
Cartoons, spin-offs, the whole deal for years.
Yes.
And I was surprised when I looked it up. basically nonstop.
Nonstop.
There's been a Lilo and Stitch something.
The SpongeBob
like
of
every
Disney.
year since
Yeah.
it came out.
Yeah.
And the live action just looks so
It looks
amazing,
great.
and Stitch looks so cute.
It looks great.
And the little girl is so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it just looks so,
You're
it looks
mad.
like it really captured the
You're
magic
mad.
somehow.
You're mad at me.
It really works, and I think during the draft I said something like, "That is the dumbest pick ever," and now I'm eating my words.
Totally. Oh, I was
And
with you. I thought it was a great pick.
I did
I
a
would've
I did a
taken
watch
Lilo
along
and
of the
Stitch.
trailer if you want to check that out on our YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
But it looks perfect. It looks excellent. It works really well because live action with everything except
Except
Thank
the
you.
one character.
Thank
yeah.
you.
with except Stitch really works. I mean, there's obviously the beginning when they're in space, and then
Sure.
Stitch comes down and all that. But that's kind of like feels like Space Jam stuff, and
Yes,
that's like
it
cool.
does,
It's
yes.
gonna please a lot of like people our age who watched that movie, who came up with that movie. But kids are gonna love Stitch. My son is going to be obsessed with this movie.
No
I'm
doubt.
so happy you brought that bit up about the live action and Stitch being animated while everything else is real, because I have something I want to say. This trailer convinced me of something. I think Lilo and Stitch is a better story told live action than it is fully animated.
Very possible.
And
I
that-
totally see that.
That trailer was perfect. I mean, what is Lilo and Stitch the story? It's a fish out of water story. Alien crashes to Earth, crashes on Hawaii, has to deal with humans. They're trying to hide him, try to get him back home. It's like E.T.,
Yep.
okay? And when you're making that fully animated, obviously it's going to be cool. But when you do live action and the actual animated stuff, the CGI stuff is the alien,
Yeah, it looks
and
real.
everything else is normal, it works so well.
It does.
And I'm so excited. I think I hit a home run with this pick.
You absolutely did. It also goes back to like you said, like E.T., like the movies that we sort of grew up with.
Sure.
But it just harkens back to sort of that like simplification of a children's movie. Like never-ending story type stuff.
Totally.
That really makes me like super excited to see this movie.
Now, when it comes to, again, we just talked about Snow White. I talked about for a long time how I didn't like that these animated movies of my youth are getting remade into live action. Then I see Lilo and Stitch, and it convinces me completely that it all should be remade into live action. There's still so many animated movies out there that have not been made into live action. So if you had a pitch, if you had to walk into Disney right now and say, I got it for you, Bob, this is the one. This is the one you need to remake. Any animated movie out there, what movie do you think should get remade into live action?
It would be We're Back.
I don't know what We're Back is, Alche.
God. It was a Spielberg movie. I mean, it was fantastic, but fine. I'll go with a...
No, that's yours. The one that I want remade that I think would just be perfect. I wanted to think of something not as mainstream of this, but I couldn't think of anything that would beat it. And I've already said it. It's Frozen. I think Frozen live action would be unbelievable.
Oh, it's coming.
I think everything would work.
There's no question it's
Every
coming.
single bit of it would work.
It's already based... It's humans and ice. It's already basically...
What do you
the
think
ice
Lilo
all
and
looks
Stitch
real.
is? What do you think Lilo and Stitch? It's
But-
humans and one
well,
alien.
Lilo and Stitch was 2D animated. It didn't look
Sure,
real. The
sure.
way
We got a
Frozen
snowman
almost
to
looks
contend
real.
with, though.
The Snowman live action would be great.
I have a full pitch for mine.
Go for it.
And in the spirit of Lilo and Stitch, one animated character, one CGI character, or like one entity of CGI characters, and a whole slew of humans. Ratatouille is a perfect live action. And you know who would be perfect in it? Have you guys seen...
Alex Alche.
About a decade ago, I would have said me, but have you seen No Hard Feelings? The Jennifer Lawrence movie?
Can't say that I have.
Oh yeah.
Andrew Barth Feldman would be a phenomenal Linguini. And you know who would be an excellent Colette? Jenna Ortega would be absolutely stellar. And I'm going to bring it all together. Directed by Richard Linklater, who loves Paris.
I have a confession to make.
What?
You've never seen Ratatouille?
I have seen it. I just don't like it.
You're an absolute fool. It's one of the best movies. It's one of the best. It's a
Boy.
phenomenal film.
Could I not disagree any more than I do with that statement?
I think Ratatouille is a fantastic
Ratatouille is
animated
an
movie.
excellent movie.
It's fine.
But I do want the people listening at home to know that Alex Alche off camera said we weren't allowed to pick Ratatouille. He was so invested in using
He had to be
Ratatouille for
the
his
one.
example as an animated movie to be made in a live action.
It's
So I
going to
just
be.
want you
It's
to know
going
that.
to happen,
well, if we're
and
gonna
it's
do
going
like
to be excellent.
Pixar movies, then I mean, Toy Story should be made into a live-action movie.
Why?
Absolutely not.
I disagree
Absolutely
completely.
not. How would Toy Story work as a live-action movie?
How is that any different from Frozen?
What are you going to make the characters like small soldiers?
Well, yes.
So Buzz Lightyear, even though he's a human, and Woody, even though he's a human, aren't going to be human?
They're going to be toys. What are you talking about?
But they're
You don't change the story.
Let's see
They're
how
still
the
toys.
CGI
But are they
dwarves
played
do
by
in-
are they
in,
played by actors or are they CGI?
What do you mean? They're CGI.
Woody, are they CGI or
It's
is that
a
an
toy.
actor? Yeah, okay, it doesn't work.
You
it doesn't work.
a toy!
Yeah, you've seen Toy Story, right? They're toys. They're not little people.
I'm talking about the actor. Who's
not gonna
playing
work.
it? Is it a
It's not gonna
human
work.
in a small, like as a small? No,
it's a toy.
It won't work. It's a terrible example.
Quentin
Toy Story
Tarantino
is a live action.
wouldn't even watch Toy Story 4 because the first 3 were perfect to him. I don't think you can touch Toy Story.
All right, last thing we want to talk about, because this trailer also came out and the season just began, and we already talked about it, and Kellerman is getting raked across the coals online for his takes on F1. The movie, the sport. Kellerman is the most hated man
Who has
in the
that
world of
movie,
movie.
baby?
That trailer just came out. We're going to not talk about Disney anymore. Let's talk about real action, real movies, because this trailer, Alche, I think we're agreed, it was effing awesome. It was everything we wanted it to be.
Yes.
Kellerman, you are the detractor here. You are the one that said F1 is just driving around in a loop. It is not very exciting. Did this trailer turn you on to the movie in any way whatsoever?
Not even a little bit.
Okay.
Didn't change my mind one iota. Can I tell you that when I saw the trailer for Ford vs. Ferrari, my heart was racing. I was like, I'm not a racing guy. I don't like racing. That interests me. That looks great. F1 has not given me that feeling yet with anything that I have seen. I don't even really know what the emotional story is. Do we know what the story of the
Old
movie
man
is?
gets a second chance and gets to be one of the 22 drivers in F1.
And is warring with the new young upstart trying to make his name for it. It's a classic
So
tale.
it's the same
Yes.
story as every other racing movie that's ever been made?
Oh,
Except
we
with
aren't
Brad Pitt
reinventing
and
the
Top
wheel.
Gun technology.
We aren't reinventing the wheel. This has never been done before. Some of the stuff that they're doing to make this movie. And you saw
Yeah,
it.
they're really not inventing the wheel.
We asked you, I mean, you said in the teaser, before this trailer came out, you said you never saw stuff like they talked about all the things that they did, but you never saw any of that. You never saw any of the Top Gun action.
Sure.
In the trailer we did. In the trailer we
There's
saw
a little
the
bit
race
more,
footage that
there's a little
that
more
they
interesting
shot.
camera work.
It
Yeah.
looks phenomenal. The action, you can tell just from the shots that they include in the trailer that these action sequences, these big sequences, are going to be fantastic.
They had to go really, really, really out of their way to make those exciting.
Wow.
That's crazy, dude. That's absolutely insane. It looks so fun and so good. The perfect summer blockbuster. I'm really excited
The
for this.
perfect summer blockbuster?
Yeah.
Brad Pitt sitting in a car.
Yes.
I think we're getting there,
Tom
man. I
Cruise
think we're getting
sitting
there.
in a plane, Brad Pitt sitting in a car. Let's do it.
I think we're getting there. The more I see out of this movie, the more I'm convinced it's a $1 billion product. I said it the last time we talked about it. I'm even more convinced right
People
now,
are
especially
seeing this
worldwide.
I'm ready to eat my hat, but I am much more looking forward to gloating over this movie not making as much money as you think it will.
Fair
Okay,
enough,
I
fair
think you're
enough.
wrong. I think you're wrong. I think it's going to be excellent.
But that is it for our episode this week. Next week, we're talking about something a little bit more heavy. We're talking about the world of box office as we see it and the world of AI in the future of what movies can be. Yeah, this podcast getting deep. Can't wait.
It's going to be interesting.
We'll see you next week. Or maybe we won't. Maybe the computers will just make it for us. I don't know.